I'm Brittany. This is Moran. And welcome to Gaywatch, where we watch and read gay things. Thank you for being here today as we continue reading Volume 10 of Arha. Before I tell you how this works, real quick audio check though. If someone could say whether or not they hear me louder than they did in the book chat that we just had, that would be very helpful. I boosted it a little bit, but I didn't want to boost it too much. So, here's how these streams work. We read for a couple of hours, we take a break around halfway through, and we usually get through about 40 to 50 pages, kind of usually 40 to 45 these days, but who knows? I have not read this series before, so I will be reacting, discussing, and theorizing as I go, which means no spoilers are allowed in the chat or the comments for the sake of myself and any other new readers. Speaking of the book chat, we have book chats on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 2:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for YouTube members and patrons to discuss what we read in the previous stream right before we read more in the next one. If you're looking for more queer bookish chats, there is an evergreen link to the public version of the Gaywatch Discord down in the description box, and there are also trigger warnings available down there should you need them. So, today we are on page 249 for chapter 312, which is called Returning to Live in the South. The title comes with a footnote. Have we seen that before? If that has happened before, it has been like once, and I've been reading this over the course of 2 years, so who knows if I remember. Apparently, this was originally just the first bonus story that Meat Bun wrote after the main narrative was done, and Seven Seas decided to tack it on as a formal epilogue and just call it chapter 312, which I understand. I kind of don't get how you possibly have more epilogue after chapter 311, which was the most perfect epilogue and had all the epilogue feelings. So what else does she have to say to me? I don't know, but we're going to find out. Little Shroom Shazun said this was their first time joining one of the live streams. Hello. Lovely to see you here. You have come at, I believe and hope, is actually rather beautiful time to be joining these streams. Genuinely. And with Erha, that's saying something. So, it is slightly louder. The audio, Ninin. Thank you. It sounds a little bit muffled. One of the reasons I was running late, the reason I was running late today was because I was arguing with my audio. That's the short version of that story. So I'm just making sure that I have it, all repositioned and close. But I will go in just for a quick second and boost it a little bit more. So let's try that one more time. The mic should be a little bit louder now. And I swear to God, I think tweaking it just made OBS stop streaming there for a bit. So, we learn a new lesson every day. How does it sound now? It should be a bit louder and better. Yeah, still not as clear as before. Of course. You mess with one audio thing and everything else just doesn't. All right. I'll get it figured out for next week. Or wait, no, today's Tuesday. What am I talking about? This week. Why am I? No, it's Thursday. Jesus. The sprint that has been going on in my brain for the last like 5 to 10 minutes. Little incredible. Anyway, re-welcome to Gaywatch, where we watch and read gay things usually a lot more smoothly than this. We are indeed reading volume 10 of Arha today, and we are on page, hello. We are on chapter 312 for, get over here. Nothing agrees with me today. Chapter 312, Returning to Live in the South, for page 249. The poll that was put in the field regarded who we thought was getting railed today. And the consensus definitely seems to be Chuaning, whether or not it's by Mo Run or Taishan Jun, or potentially both, was a little bit more contentious. But people seem to think that it's going to be Taishan Jun. And part of me says this is absolutely the first thing that Meat Bun would get to in any kind of epilogue bonus story situation. But then on the other hand, it's also Meat Bun. So if she wanted to put this into the very last bonus story that she gave us for Arha, I also wouldn't be surprised. Okay. So 2 years after the final battle, the scent of kanji filled the small cottage. A young child, pointed ears sticking out from under the pumpkin leaf the pumpkin leaf hat he was wearing, huddled close to the stove as he added fresh wood to the flames. Next to him sat a red-headed girl, chewing on some candy as she stared into the fire. Add more. No way, any more and it's going to scorch. I don't think it's gonna. As if you'd know. All you know is how to eat sweets. Chuaning strode in, carrying a brace of wild rabbits, the spoils of his hunt. On his heels came a gaggle of round little grass spirits, flower fae, and even tiny moss sprites no bigger than a fingernail. The tree spirit siblings in front of the stove shot to their feet, scrambling to greet him with a bow. Sacred Tree Shenjin. The tree is being appreciated. I did not, on the list of expectations, I didn't have that. I probably should have, though. Sacred Tree Shenjin was what all these little wood elemental spirits called Chuaning. In his past life, he'd always wondered why he had such a natural affinity with Juga and such powerful control over grass and wood type energy. Not to mention the strange incident. Oh, excuse me. Footnote. Returning to Live in the South comes with a footnote. Title from a collection of poems by Tao Yuanming, also known as Tao Qian, a poet from the Six Dynasties period, best known for his reclusive lifestyle and pastoral poetry. Oh God, that reminds me of there's a classic American writer that fits into that same lane, and I'm currently blanking on his name, but he also, very much so, wrote about that and was known for that. Not to mention the strange incident with the gourd of debauchery that had escaped from the golden drum tower, who'd been so deferential to him. Only in hindsight had he connected all these little clues. He was created from the Flame Emperor's sacred tree, and the Flame Emperor was the progenitor of all the world's flora. After the final battle, Chu Wanning and Mo Run had gone into seclusion in Nanping Valley. Grand destructive techniques were currently of no use to them, yet their days had become a little too ordinary. To enliven things, Chu Wanning created a spell to summon some wood elemental spirits, assembling a small army of Nanping Valley's spritlings. "You're quite the little warlord," Mo Run had commented with a laugh. "All you're missing is a tiger skin rug to adorn your floor." Chu Wanning hadn't deigned to respond. After all, this was merely the envious jibe of someone with no summoning abilities of his own. Over the past few days, however, the warlord, Chu Wanning, had found himself rather anxious. Shui Meng had announced he'd be paying a visit to Nanping Valley to celebrate the Mid-Autumn Festival with them. So they would see each other more often than once a year, is what you're telling me? I can be normal about this. The distance of the past 2 years had eroded much of the awkwardness between the trio, and so Chu Wanning was naturally eager to reunite with his beloved disciple. In the month leading up to the Mid-Autumn Festival, he'd begun to meticulously plan the dishes he would prepare for Shui Ziming's visit. "What you writing, Shizin?" Candlelight flickered as Mo Run came up behind Chu Wanning and enveloped him in his arms, chin coming to rest on his shoulder. His dark eyes fell upon the brush and paper on the table. The answer was immaterial. His true goal was to coax his savior Gaga into bed before the hour grew too late. After all, what could Chu Wanning be writing? Most likely he was sketching blueprints for another holy night guardian, which he would send along to Master Ma of Taobao Estate to manufacture and sell cheaply, along with a sincere note directing him to pay all profits to Xishang Peak. In the end, the manufacturing costs would exceed the sale price per unit, and Master Ma would take his losses to Shui Ziming to seek compensation. "Not working on blueprints today." "Inspiration doesn't strike every single day," Chu Wanning answered absently. "Shizun." Mo Run nuzzled his cheek against Chu Wanning's and dropped a kiss on his earlobe. "What is it?" Mo Run straightened up and rubbed at his nose. He'd become increasingly worried lately that Chu Wanning was beginning to tire of him. Why else would Mo Run's affectionate nosing be met with such a flat "what is it," without even the slightest inflection to soften it? What in the ever-loving hell? Only now did Mo Run finally focus on the words beneath Chu Wanning's brush. Perhaps it have been better if he hadn't. What he saw shocked him so badly he took a step back. "What are you writing?" What had been an idle question was now a horrified exclamation. Hearing the alarm in Mo Run's tone, Chu Wanning paused and lifted his gaze. His phoenix eyes were narrowed dangerously. Not even the soft curtain of his lashes hid the sharpness of his glare. But that deadly stare inspired only half the terror of his next words. "A Mid-Autumn Festival menu, of course." Mo Run fell into a long, horrified silence. It was like this. In honor of this reunion dinner with the disciple he felt he'd let down, their first since the great battle, the Beidou immortal was writing a menu with his own 2 hands. You know what else? I loved that we got the first time that Shui Meng laid eyes on them as like confirmation that Mo Run is in fact alive and they are like fine and nearby, so to speak. And then we like cut to a casual mention of having actually seen them and seeing them repeatedly like later on in chapter 311. And I was like, understand that, love that, satisfied by that. I also wanted to see the first time they were able to like sit down post all of this, and I believe that's what she's giving me. So I'll just be over here. As Mo Run gazed at Chu Waning's resolute expression in the candlelight, a tremor went through his heart. Surely, Chu Waning wasn't being serious. Unfortunately, Chu Shenjin had always been very serious, and he was being serious now as well. Over the next few days, he carefully perused his draft menu with knitted brows, at times striking out an item, whereupon Mo Run would breathe a sigh of relief, at others adding in more, whereupon Mo Run would feel a faint spasm in his stomach. Chu Waning cleared his throat and brought the final menu to Mo Run for his perusal. Mo Run, holding onto his composure with an iron grip, scanned the list of dishes, 10 cold, 10 hot, before closing the bamboo scroll. What is it? Are there not enough side dishes? No. Mo Run realized he had to step in to restrain his savior Gaga or risk Xishang Peak's new sect leader meeting an untimely end at mid-autumn. After some consideration, he raised his gaze to meet Chu Waning's and smiled. I just feel like letting Shizun do all the work will show a lack of sincerity. Really? Chu Waning furrowed his brow. It's a reunion dinner, after all. Mo Run took his hand, gently nudging him toward the idea. It'd be more festive if everyone was involved, don't you think? Seeing that Chu Waning continued to hesitate, Mo Run, struck by inspiration upon recalling his competitive streak, continued, How about this, Shizun? You prepare 5 cold dishes and 5 hot, and I'll do the same, but neither of us tells the other what he's preparing. When Shui Meng arrives, we'll set all 20 dishes out and ask him which he enjoyed and which he didn't. What do you think? After everything they've been through, Mo Run can't just communicate to Chu Waning. After everything, there's still this feeling around preserving Chu Waning's feelings, pride, what have you. They're still wholesome. After all of that, Chu Waning didn't answer immediately, but his eyes lit up. Mo Run, intimately familiar with the way his cat-like lover's mind worked, repressed a smile. He twined his fingers through Chu Waning's and asked, Will that do? So, a cooking contest. Chu Waning lifted his gaze to meet Mo Run's. Mo Run rubbed his nose and answered with a smile, If you want to think of it that way, sure. After some consideration, Chu Waning stood and snatched the bamboo scroll Mo Run was still holding out of his hand. What? Mo Run asked, startled. I'm not letting you see what I'm making. Chu Waning's expression was deadly serious. Forget everything you saw on this list. I'm going to redo it from scratch. Mo Run blinked at him helplessly. When it comes to cooking, I'm actually just as good as you are. Chu Waning turned away haughtily, eyes narrowed, but the overall effect was more cute than anything. Are you kidding? This is going right up there alongside the fucking fish, okay? It's whenever he is as seriously earnest about the smaller things. That's what's really lethal. Yes. Yes, you are. Mo Run was finding it harder and harder to hide his smile. Whatever Shizun says is right. I'm looking forward to a feast at the mid-autumn reunion dinner. He took Chu Waning's hand again, squeezing those fingers calloused from years of working with armor and puppets, before bringing them to his mouth to kiss. It seemed Chu Waning had expected his words to be met with mockery. In the candle's glow, Mo Run watched as his eyes widened in surprise, as his raised hackles slowly subsided beneath Mo Run's tender kisses. Mo Run lowered his gaze demurely. Whatever my savior Gaga makes is wonderful. Lay it on thick, babe. Congratulating himself on cleverly avoiding a crisis. Truly, he was growing more quick-witted by the day. Mo Run got to his feet as well, still smiling, and began to collect the unwashed dishes on the table. That night, after Mo Run had gone to wash up, Chu Wanning sat by the window, going over the menu he'd worked on so carefully. When he heard the door opening, he hastily rolled up the scroll. It seemed he'd truly taken the competition to heart and saw Mo Run as his rival. Mo Run found him foolishly endearing. This man owned few books that could be considered light reading, and of them, only two were related to food: Sichuan recipes and Linyi gastronomy. What was there to hide? But Chu Wanning was determined to keep his plans under wraps. He extinguished the candle by the window and asked casually, "Done washing up?" Mo Run nodded, smiling. Chu Wanning returned the nod with an approving one of his own, and, still casually, shoved his books back onto the shelf. "Good. I'll go wash up then." Mo Run's smile widened. Shizin. Chu Wanning turned back. Mo Run seemed torn on whether or not to continue. Eventually, rubbing at the back of his head, he reminded him, "You've already washed up. You went before me, remember?" Chu Wanning froze. Even the mighty Beidou immortal could slip up while trying to be sneaky. My face hurts from smiling. The moment stretched. Mo Run, watching him with amused indulgence, leaned over. The space by the window was just wide enough for a chair and a bamboo bookcase. With one hand against the window frame, he'd effectively boxed Chu Wanning in. But Chu Wanning didn't intend to retreat. He'd gotten better over the years at not pretending he didn't want something when he actually did, but he was still unaccustomed to this kind of open advance. Not to mention, only a few days ago, on one of Taishan-jun's days, the unreasonable madman had quite literally tied him to this very chair and fucked him, a memory that made his cheeks slowly heat. But this only made him more determined to pretend he was unaffected. There was so much vitally necessary information in that paragraph. "Well, let's go to bed then," Chu Wanning said. Mo Run leaned closer and bent to steal a kiss from his cool lips. Truth be told, Taishan-jun and Mo Zongsha had the same proclivities. Taishan-jun was merely more upfront with his tastes, while Mo Zongsha was more restrained. The result was the same. Before Chu Wanning could mount any true resistance, he found himself pressed into the chair. In a beat-for-beat reenactment of what had happened with Taishan-jun, Mo Zongsha twitched his fingers and summoned Jiang Gui to tie Chu Wanning's limbs to the chair's frame. "Couldn't you pick a more normal place for this?" Chu Wanning ground out. Mo Run's long lashes fluttered innocently as he bent and cupped Chu Wanning's cheek. His voice was very warm as he said, "I'm worried you're growing bored of me." How could that be your two very different who, and also Chu Wanning, the man who tried really hard to die with you, for you? We're worried that, yeah, we're still wholesome. We're still very normal. After all of that. Chu Wanning stared. "Oh, wait. Or is this a, I'm afraid you're getting bored of me because Taishan-jun is more interesting?" I'm just saying. Chu Wanning stared. How did someone doing something so shameless manage to sound like an insecure wife? But Mo Run's gaze was sincere as he dropped to one knee in front of Chu Wanning. "Shizin, we've been together for 2 years, and there's still the rest of our lives ahead of us. If we did the same thing every night, you'd lose interest in me." "You're plenty interesting." Chu Wanning leveled a glare at him. "Release me, now." Mo Run stayed where he was, half kneeling before him, gazing soulfully into his eyes. Release me, Chu Wanning repeated sternly. The fierceness of his glare seemed to stab at the young man's fragile, repeatedly patched over heart. Mo-Run flinched and dropped his gaze, hurt written plainly on his face as he obediently mumbled, Jangwei, return. As the willow vine obligingly unwound itself, Mo-Run added a meek, sorry. Just all the reasons why we need both Mo-Run and Taisha and Jun are becoming extremely apparent. Chu Wanning pressed his lips together. Despite being a tall and strapping man, Mo-Run seemed very small indeed as he knelt before Chu Wanning. At times like these, it was hard for Chu Wanning to forget Mo-Run was technically younger than him by a decade, yet was always so indulgent of him. He rubbed at his arms where the willow vines had left their mark, abruptly feeling he'd been too harsh. He cleared his throat, working out what to say, only to hear Mo-Run mumble, head still bowed. I'm not really conscious of what goes on when I'm Taisha and Jun, but I do get some fragments here and there. Chu Wanning's hand froze. From this angle, Mo-Run's lashes looked even longer and thicker than usual, so that he resembled nothing so much as a loyal puppy. Chu Wanning felt like a pair of fluffy ears would emerge from the young man's hair at any moment and droop, matching the dispirited wilting of a fluffy tail that didn't exist. I thought you'd enjoy it, Mo-Run continued to mumble. I guess I was mistaken. In italics, so therefore, not actually said aloud. Of course you were mistaken. Still, he reached out and patted Mo-Run's head. Mo-Run looked up at the affectionate gesture. His handsome face was all the more striking in the soft glow from the candle. The wavering light refracted in the depths of his dark eyes like twinned rivers of stars. But right now those eyes were woebegone, tinged ever so slightly red at the corners. I'm sorry, Shizun. I really only meant to make you happy. When Chu Wanning didn't answer, Mo-Run continued. I messed up and made you mad, didn't I? How could Chu Wanning's heart not soften? He sighed, patting him more firmly, but Mo-Run remained where he was, stiffening against the motion. Chu Wanning patted him a few more times, but when that still wasn't enough, he gave in. Come here. We're patting his head like... Also, come here. Come here, boy. Come on. Up on the... Mo-Run jerked in surprise. Still kneeling, he obediently leaned in. Chu Wanning cupped the back of his head, tugging him closer until his cheek was pressed against his waist, then stroked his soft, inky hair and sighed. Dummy. Candlelight glimmered in the white room. Chu Wanning reached up and tugged at his hair tie. Heedless of the dark hair cascading loosely around his shoulders, he tied the long, lotus-white strip of cloth over his own eyes. Mo-Run, in a moment of truly dense obliviousness, asked in surprise, What are you doing, Shizun? It's not like he was dumb. Even the warm undertones of the candlelight couldn't hide the flush rising beneath the spring frost paleness of Chu Wanning's skin. He compressed his lips. This guy could melt his heart and provoke him to fury between one moment and the next. He was so mad it felt like his head might blow off. If it weren't for the silk blindfold hiding his eyes and mitigating some of his embarrassment, he would have shoved Mo-Run aside and stormed out the door. After grinding his teeth in silence for a long moment, he squeezed out, Get on with it or fuck off. Mo Zongxia was a straightforward man. After a moment of shock, followed by a moment of pleasant surprise, he turned his full attention to the business at hand. Within seconds, Chuaning found himself stripped of his clothes, the evening air rippling cool against his skin. Blindfolded as he was, Chuaning couldn't help lifting his chin, blindly searching for Mo Run. It was a perilous move on his part, for the lotus-white silk of the hair ribbon resting over his straight nose drew Mo Run's gaze down to his lips beneath. Normally, the bright coldness of Chuaning's eyes arrested the viewer's gaze, trapping it within those icy pools. But now those eyes were hidden, that fierce dignity veiled, and Mo Run discovered that the features on the lower half of Chuaning's face were gentle, in particular those pale pink lips. At this moment, those lips were unconsciously parted, as if begging to be kissed. Though Mo Run knew his Shizun wasn't doing it on purpose, he kissed him anyway. Even as he was exploring Chuaning's mouth, his hands continued moving, callous fingers roaming over Chuaning's waist and chest. By the time he pulled away, both were breathing hard. Mo Run pressed his forehead to Chuaning's and asked, voice hoarse, "Is this okay?" Huh. The blindfold Chuaning sat panting, kiss-reddened lips the color of blooming Haitong. He looked more alluring than ever. "Can we do it here?" Mo Zongsha, being in all ways an upright gentleman, was always careful to check in with Chuaning before continuing. At times, Chuaning felt this proactive, consent-seeking behavior was We're taking deep breaths. We're remaining calm. Especially since I just got the inclination that the way this scene is going to play out is going to have Mo Run for the foreplay, but not necessarily the act. At times, Chuaning felt this proactive, consent-seeking behavior was more humiliating than any shameless thing Te Shanjun could ever do. Well, of course, that makes perfect sense. This is making literally as much sense as Wangxian and their way of doing things. He snapped. "You've already stripped me naked, and now you're asking for permission." Mo Run's face had gone pink, though Chuaning couldn't see. Realizing the inanity of his question, he pressed his lips together in embarrassment and pecked Chuaning on the cheek. "Sorry." All he got in reply was a huff. Mo Run generously said nothing more to humiliate him. His eyelashes, soft as a butterfly's wings, fluttered against Chuaning's skin as he pressed kiss after kiss down his nose, his neck, his collarbones, his chest. He could feel the tension in Chuaning's body, could see the white-knuckled grip he had on the arms of the chair. Mo Run knew Chuaning didn't enjoy him touching his chest. Though the scar there no longer hurt, it still felt vulnerable. So after placing a delicate kiss on one nipple, Mo Run pulled back and settled between Chuaning's parted legs. He lifted his head to take in the sight of his lover, still rigid with nerves, then bent lower. His breath washed over where Chuaning was already beginning to harden. It's going to be any second now. We're going to get the best of both worlds, I'm telling you. Chuaning bit back a moan. Though his eyes were covered, he turned away in heated shame. The shock of Mo Run's hot, wet mouth around his cock, we got somewhere, was made more vivid by his blindness, as if all his senses had narrowed down to this. The feel of it ran along his spine like fireworks, sparking all the way down to his toes. Chuaning tipped his head back and choked back a startled gasp. Even so, the twitch of his hardening cock betrayed him, as it tends to do. Kneeling between his legs, Mo Run took him deeper into his throat, tongue pressing against his tip, then moving languidly along his length. When he pulled back, Chuaning's cock was spit slick all the way down. Savior Gaga. Chu Waning's face went redder by a few shades. He hissed, "Stop calling me that." "Okay," Mo-Run huffed out a laugh. His lips were still against Chu Waning's cock, and each word puffed hot against sensitive skin. "Whatever Shizun says." Don't mind me. I've just ascended. Are we holding hands? We should be holding hands. This was silly of me. The opening and tech difficulties threw me off. We should be holding hands. We're holding hands. This is when we bond. We are bonding. We are bonding at the moment, and as such, we should be holding hands. Thank you. Thank you so much. Chu Waning gritted his teeth, unable to decide if the humiliation of Shizun was worse than the awkwardness of Savior. He didn't have long to consider before Mo-Run's mouth began its onslaught anew. He couldn't see a thing. All he could do was sit there and take it, lips parting around ragged gasps. Yet his imagination filled in the gaps, painting a picture of Mo-Run kneeling between his legs, his skillful tongue lapping at him. "I see you, meat bun." The next time Mo-Run pulled back, Chu Wanning couldn't help reaching out to run his fingers through Mo-Run's dark hair. He said in a shaky voice, "Okay, that's quite enough." Mo-Run paid him no mind. Chu Wanning always put on a tough act, even in bed. When he said that's enough, it was often far from it. Since they'd gone into seclusion, Mo-Run had taken him at his word the first few times, only for Chu Wanning to tear badly. Each time found Mo-Run staring at the blood-spotted sheets in a guilty daze afterward. He had long learned not to take Chu Wanning's "that's enough" at face value. Thus, Mo-Run blithely ignored him. He reached up to catch the hand that was attempting to push him away and twined their fingers together. He moved lower, running his tongue over Chu Wanning's balls, then even further down. He paused and lifted his eyes, glazed with arousal. "Shizun, scoot forward a little, please. I can't reach." It's the please in moments like this. His words were polite, but they made Chu Wanning feel like steam was coming from his ears. I got too many essays writing themselves at once in my head. Seeing that Chu Wanning neither moved forward nor shoved him away, Mo-Run unwound their fingers and took hold of his hips, tugging him closer to the edge of the chair before proceeding to spread Chu Wanning's legs wider. His next lick, "I see you, meat bun. Don't think I don't." Was directly on his entrance. The sensation was more intense than before. Chu Wanning cried out and flung his head back, bracing himself against the back of the chair. He could feel every swipe of Mo-Run's tongue against the sensitive skin there, feeling it press wetly against and into him. Chu Wanning was torn. On the one hand, this act was too filthy for him to accept, but at the same time, a tender warmth bloomed in his chest. The surety of being loved wholly and completely, every inch of him accepted and laved with affection, made him feel like he was sinking into warm spring waters. That much warmth and affection while he's getting... She just knows. By the time Mo-Run hoisted him up and swapped their positions, Chu Wanning's legs had gone numb with pleasure. Straddling Mo-Run, he could feel that terrifying length pressed against him. Mo-Run kept one arm looped around Chu Wanning's waist, while the other worked between his thighs to finger him open. When Chu Wanning, brow furrowed, said, "That's enough," for the 9th time that night, Mo-Run laughed and pressed a kiss to his temple. Okay. No amount of preparation would ever make penetration by such a massive cock completely painless. The unit's back. Chu Wanning knit his brows, tremors rolling down his spine as Mo Run entered him, inch by excruciating inch. When he was fully seated, a groan escaped both of them with that final stretch. At the bare minimum, the Mo Run voters have it. Shizun, does it hurt? Want to swap and find out? Mo Run shut his mouth and instead began to rock his hips. Like Taishun Jun, he was prone to losing control once in the throes of pleasure, but their styles and techniques were a study in contrasts before that point. Mo Run was measured and careful as he moved inside Chu Wanning. The expression of restrained passion on his handsome face only added to his sensuality. With each thrust, he could feel Chu Wanning clenching hot around his cock, a maddening pleasure. He had to exert all his self-control to tame the impulse to press the man in his arms down and fuck him senseless. His breathing came fast and hard, his eyes glittering like freshly polished gems as arousal burned through him. Sweat traced lines down his bare skin as the heady musk of sex filled the room. Each breath came heavier and more ragged than the last. These restrained rocking motions were insufficient to slake his lust. He shifted the angle to thrust the head of his cock against that familiar, sensitive spot within Chu Wanning and was instantly rewarded. Soft, breathy moans spilled from Chu Wanning's lips. That he was so clearly trying to stifle them made them all the more seductive. Captivated, Mo Run moved unthinkingly to catch Chu Wanning's mouth in a kiss. The wet slide of their tongues against each other awakened an insatiable hunger, and he kissed him with a sloppy fervor, hips picking up speed to match. Seated astride Mo Run, teased mercilessly by the steady roll of his hips, Chu Wanning felt he was about to go mad. Mo Run was so gentle, so careful, but his tenderness was a cruel torment. Mo Run knew Chu Wanning's body better than he knew it himself. That ceaseless press against his most sensitive spot, at a pace that was unrelenting yet without force, was the most exquisite torture, an ever-heightening pleasure with no climax in sight. It was like having an itch he could only scratch around, feather light, without ever receiving true relief. The necessity of both just becomes clearer and clearer. Under this onslaught, it was all he could do to let out a strangled, broken moan. Almost, but not quite, a plea. He felt himself getting hotter and slicker where their bodies joined, felt how his body clung to Mo Run's, sucking him in deeper. His ears burned. He dragged his mind away from that line of thought. At least Mo Run wasn't like Taishun Jun, who seemed addicted to wringing tears and wails of pleasure from Chu Wanning in bed. Or rather, Mo Run did enjoy it, but not to that extent. Mo Run, sensing Chu Wanning beginning to adjust to the pleasure, added more force to his thrusts. He drove ceaselessly into Chu Wanning, groping and squeezing his buttocks. Lust-hazed eyes fixed hungrily on his lover, he asked, Shizun, does it feel good? You knew Shizun was gonna be used in this way, and yet you get here and it's like as if Chu Wanning would respond to a question like that. But his body answered for him. Chu Wanning's fine shivers, his shuddering gasps for breath, the fragmented moans that escaped his slack mouth were answer enough. Mo Run obligingly picked up the pace. What had started as tender lovemaking became more and more frenzied, until they were fucking hard and rough, the slick sounds of their bodies colliding, synchronizing with the creaks of protest from the chair beneath them. I said we were gonna bond. And here we are. They're only in, like, one of, if not potentially, my favorite position for characters to be in for any reason. At last, Chuaning was unable to endure any more. He could barely hold himself upright, his body plastered to Mo-Run's muscled chest beneath him. Slow down. But the exhortation came too late. Mo-Run was too far gone in pleasure to be obedient any longer. He kept up his merciless pace until Chuaning came untouched, of course, splattering his release across Mo-Run's stomach as Mo-Run continued to buck his hips. Mo-Run glanced up. The blindfold had been tugged askew by the vigor of their movements, revealing half-lidded phoenix eyes and damp lashes. The sight seemed to send a bolt through him. He shoved to his feet, scooping up his lover in his arms. The change of position drove him even deeper into Chuaning, still in the throes of his climax. Caught off guard by the sudden jolt of pleasure, Chuaning cried out. The bonding episode, everyone. Shizun. Wanting. Baby. All three at the same time? Who can endure that? Why would you do that to me? Meatbun, why would you do that? Why would you do that? All three, that's way too. I was barely getting around Shizun, all right? That already had me stratosphere. All three at the same, no respect at all. Mo-Run tumbled them both onto the bed, peppering his face with kisses. As they shifted, his cock slipped out of Chuaning's slick, quivering hole. Chuaning's eyes were glassy. His climax magnified every sensation, and all he could sense right now was that his entrance was shamelessly clenching down on nothing, aching to be filled. With a low moan, he raised trembling fingers to pull away the slipping blindfold, revealing phoenix eyes tinged red at their upswept corners and sheened with tears. With one look, they seemed to pierce Mo-Run's heart. Swearing, Mo-Run lifted Chuaning's legs and pressed his hot, hard cock against Chuaning's entrance. The slightest pressure was enough to push the head in, drawing a muffled groan of pain and pleasure from the man beneath him. Unable to hold back a moment longer, Mo-Run mumbled sorry before lifting Chuaning's hips and driving the rest of the way in. What followed was almost animalistic in its frenzy. Once lost in pleasure, Taishanjun and Mo Zongsha were very alike indeed. Rationality flew out the window, leaving only raw need, the desire to drag moan after shattered moan, out of his lover. Their leanly muscled bodies tangled passionately on the bed. Mo-Run pulled back merely to push Chuaning's legs further apart, his hips never stilling, cock buried to the hilt with every thrust. Broken pants and whines filled the room. Chuaning felt like he was being swept away beneath the onslaught, each press of Mo-Run against that tender spot like a fresh burst of rain sweeping him further and further out to sea. Everything was slipping out of his control. All he could cling to was the man in front of him, his expression of complete adoration, Chuaning's last tether to reality. She was really like, listen, Mo-Run might be the sweet, softy, besotted, lovey-dovey guy. But never is there a time when Chuaning is not dicked down right. What remained of Mo Run's restraint unraveled as he edged closer to climax. His last few thrusts were so fierce, so forceful, that it was almost as if he wanted to shove himself all the way in, balls and all. That one goes out to the nodding crowd. He came deep inside Chu Wanning, holding nothing back as he filled him to the brim. Chu Wanning was almost insensible with pleasure, so overstimulated that the tips of his toes trembled and his eyes lost focus. It took a long while for Mo Run to gather himself. Feeling okay? Did I hurt you? He pressed tender kisses to Chu Wanning's sweat-damp brow, his mouth, his nose. Was it good? Exhausted, Chu Wanning turned to face him, feeling warmth pool in his chest at the sincere, gentle expression on Mo Run's face. This was the face of the man he'd once lost, the man who'd once plunged into the underworld for him, the man whose body had once grown cold beside his own. Now he was right before his eyes, right next to him, still within him, after their fervent lovemaking. Chu Wanning let his eyes fall shut, unable to name the emotion rising bitter at the back of his throat. But an answering sweetness rose in his heart, welling like spring water to mingle with the bitterness, drowning out his voice. Honest self-expression was not Chu Wanning's strong suit. When it came to matters of the bedroom, he couldn't be counted on to give a straightforward response. What with that thin skin of his? There was no way he would answer Mo Run's bumbling questions. Not in words, at least. His answer, though, was better than any words could be. Chu Wanning raised his head. Beneath the sweat-tangled hair clinging to his forehead, his eyes were gentle as they traced the handsome lines of Mo Run's face. He leaned in and placed a kiss on the sweet curve of Mo Run's lips. The hand he laid on Mo Run's chest rested over a scar, the twin of his own. Though the wounds had healed, the scars remained, relics of their pasts. I love you. Chu Wanning's voice was very soft. Then, as if to hide his embarrassment, he yanked him in for another kiss. There was no way the night would end there. Mo Run's brush with demonic energy seemed to have granted him even greater stamina. This is what I'm talking about. She finds reasons. She finds reasons. She finds ways to give you everything you want, but not making it feel pandering. What's wild is that it should feel like pandering. That's like the weirdness. An alarming development, considering his prodigious stamina before. He flipped Chu Wanning over and onto his knees, pulling his hips up and plastering himself to Chu Wanning's back. Mo Run held him in place, stifling Chu Wanning's cries with a hand over his mouth. As he fucked him from behind. All right. Okay. Expose me, meat bun. Fine. At the end of 10 volumes, I guess you get to call me out directly and specifically. Wildly specifically. Their bed creaked beneath their enthusiastic lovemaking, the sound echoing through Nanping Valley. Spend from Mo Run's last climax was pushed from Chu Wanning's hole, with each thrust dripping sticky down the backs of his thighs, and his tousled hair spread over the bedding as he was held down and fucked within an inch of his life. Wanning. Chu Wanning heard Mo Run calling for him as if from a distance, his voice thick with love, desire, adoration, need. He opened his mouth to respond, but his throat was hoarse from crying out. No sound emerged. He turned his head, cheek pressed into the sheets with each rock of Mo-Run's hips. Mo-Run's hand came into view, covering the back of his own. His breath was heavy in Chu-Waning's ear, hitching as he came again with a cut-off moan. The sound seemed to burrow into Chu-Waning's bones. His brows knit in pleasure as he felt Mo-Run releasing him once more. His lover's lips moved against the sweat-kissed hair at his temples, his voice steeped in tenderness. Wan-ning, I love you. They were words he'd said many times over the past 2 years, yet the way he said it seemed like a declaration of intent. He would keep on saying it, over and over, for the rest of their lives. No, not just seemed. It was a declaration. This is in italics. I love you. From dawn till dusk, and every moment in between, I'll love you. Every day for the rest of our lives, I'll love you. In this lifetime and the next, I'll love you forever. That's a scene break. Scene break. As for the reunion dinner at the Mid-Autumn Festival, she thinks she's funny. Though Chu-Waning's cooking skills left much to be desired, he did possess working taste buds. After countless hours of research and several trials in the kitchen proved futile, and seeing the way Mo-Run bustled about prepping and seasoning and marinating with practiced ease, Chu-Waning finally gave up trying to make his dishes by himself 3 days before the Mid-Autumn Festival. And thus, we return to the scene from the beginning, where a dozen odd grass and wood elemental spirits and fae clustered around Chu-Waning. Some he assigned to chop wood, others he set to stoke the fire. A few were tasked with prepping ingredients, and a select number would do the actual cooking. Chu-Waning checked on the soup bubbling over the fire. Seeing that it looked and smelled as it should, he turned to the 2 little spirits attending to it and said, "My thanks to you both." "No need to thank us," the tree sprite said with a smile. "When Sacred Tree Shenjin calls for help, we're more than happy to lend a hand." I can't get over Sacred Tree Shenjin. Oh! Chu-Waning took a peek outside the cottage. On the other side of the courtyard, he could see Mo-Run diligently chopping firewood. Speaking of bonding. His tanned skin was sheened with sweat, glistening beads chasing each other down the curve of his jaw. His clothing did nothing to hide his firm chest nor the taut muscle of his lean waist. Truly, a beauty beyond compare. Unfortunately for this beauty, Chu-Waning's drive to win overrode anything else. He'd sneakily summoned these fae and spirits to help prepare for the feast, knowing full well it was cheating. If anything, this was what Mo-Run deserved for spending every night tormenting him in bed. Newly motivated to get his revenge, Chu-Waning shut the kitchen door firmly and placed a barrier that would prevent Mo-Run from entering. This done, he turned back to his army of summoned spirits and picked up his menu from the table. "Next, we're going to make sweet and sour squirrel fish. Who here knows how to fish?" "Don't reference the fish!" The Beidou Immortal's voice drifted from the kitchen, faint and indistinct. Once in a while, there came answering squeaks and chirps from the spritlings in their strange language. Smoke rose in spirals from the chimney, carrying the fragrance of cooking throughout the valley and dissipating in the golden glow of sunset. On this tranquil evening, the memory of that cold winter's night in Nanping Valley all those years ago seemed very far away. Perhaps with time, all the suffering and agony they'd endured would fade as well. Much like an ink stain might remain on a sleeve after one wash, even 2, yet with the passage of time, would leave no more than the faintest trace of shadow. For the rest of their lives, as the seasons turned in Nanping Valley, spring warming into summer, autumn cooling into winter. Each change would bring for Mo-Run and Chu-Wan-Ning nothing but the most beautiful days. Okay, that's how you give me one last moment of epilogue, Meat Bun. I guess. Sure. That's the end of the, yeah. That's the end of the epilogue, the chapter. Chapter 212. Man. What? We're running a bit late because of tech issues, but so it's after 4:20. We usually take a break somewhere around 4. But again, we're late today. So we're going to go ahead and take the break now. And when we come back, we will read over. We will read a little bit past 5 to make up for tech difficulties and such. Don't worry about it. We'll be on page 269 for the first bonus story, fully bonus story, which is called The Only Possibility. And this is chapter 1 of The Only Possibility. It's a modern AU parody. Not on my list of expectations. Nowhere on my bingo card was Meat Bun doing a modern AU parody. But here we are. So that's what we'll be reading when we come back. Give the stream a like for Mo-Run and Chu-Wan-Ning finally getting to have sex together on a page in a way that doesn't utterly crush your soul. And we'll be right back with whatever modern AU parody stuff she has in store. I'll see you in a second. And welcome back. We are on page 269 for the first of the bonus stories, which is somewhat ironically called The Only Possibility, which is a modern AU parody that we are now going to begin reading. So, chapter 1 of The Only Possibility. Starts with a excerpt of such, a quote, really. I thought I was playing a dating sim with multiple routes, but it turned out to only have one ending. Excerpt from Shuimeng's Mission Failure Report. What is fucking happening? Shuimeng had reached the second to last piece of coconut red bean pudding on the plate. It was delicate work. He slid the plastic spoon along the edge with measured precision, his hand steady. He'd wanted to keep the pudding as pristine as possible, but had already been unfortunately tainted by the mango mousse sharing the plate. He hated mango the same way he hated his job at the Cultivation World Protection Bureau. But what choice did he have? This was the 21st century. Even stupid sons from cultivator families had to earn a living. Mission report, Mr. Shui. A tinny mechanical voice came in through his headphones. Shuimeng rolled his eyes. Ever since the Space-Time Maintenance Bureau had sent that new guy, Jang something, to be their chief, mission reports had become one of his mandatory daily tasks. He cleared his throat. This morning I arrived at 8:20 sharp. Breakfast was takeout from Li Shifu's pan-fried steamed buns. They were pretty good. You should try them sometime if you get the chance. More importantly, the old guy running the stall is nice and gives great compliments. He calls those 60-year-old aunties little lass without blinking. Anyway, after I finished breakfast, I started rubber stamping. This was why Shuimeng despised his job. Yes, rubber stamping. It was a long story, but in brief, the blame fell on his old man. Shuimeng's dad, Shui Jingyong, was the director of the Office of International Cultivation Affairs. And as the director's precious only son, Shuimeng had been spoiled rotten since before he could walk. Everything he used or ate was specially supplied by the Office of Cultivation. Even his diapers were made from textiles woven by the deep-sea mermaid tribe, guaranteed to be silky, breathable, and rash-free. Cloth diapers like Pampers or Mary's, perish the thought. His parents would never subject their baby boy's bum to such pedestrian brands. A Nepo baby like this obviously had no trouble finding a job. He took a position at the Cultivation World Protection Bureau as soon as he graduated, and the chief had personally come down to welcome him on his first day. At the time, the chief was a man named Nangong Lu. He was a rotund middle-aged man, the kind that starts sweating if he had to climb even 2 flights of stairs. Nangong Lu had solicitously taken little intern Shui's hand, jowls quivering as he introduced himself. Hiya, is this Shuimeng? You look just like your dad. I knew you were his flesh and blood the second I clapped eyes on you. So handsome. Thank you, Uncle. Nangong Lu chuckled. Your dad and I are old friends. Let's not waste time on pleasantries. Come on, Uncle will explain what you'll be doing here. As a new grad, Shuimeng had been full of grand ambitions. He'd made up his mind to do his own small part in building a better world. I'm ready to hear it, he said cheerfully. I'll definitely do my best. Would you look at that? What a good, sweet boy. No sign of a trust fund disciple's ego at all. Chief Nangong gave him a meaningful glance. Then his smile disappeared. Xiaoshui, the Bureau knows you're from a noble cultivation family and excel at everything you try your hand at. Even though you're Director Shui's darling son, we've decided to give you the hardest and most miserable work. The prospect set Shui Meng alight. Ever since I was a kid, I've loved a challenge, but nobody ever let me do anything because of my dad. His eyes were sparkling. Bring it on. The most miserable work. He's always sentenced to do the most miserable work, as OG Shui Meng will testify. Chief Nangong patted him on the shoulder and gave him a thumbs up. An ambitious lad. What will I be doing then? Nangong Lu cleared his throat. Frankly, it's a position no one else in the Bureau can handle. It requires patience, sharp judgment, and the ability to think on your feet. Thousands of lives rest upon every one of your decisions. Your work will bring hope to countless living things, but your choices may bring doom to others. She's having way too much fun. His manner was very grave, his eyes shining as if a divine halo was going to begin blazing about his head. This is hard work that'll put you on the front lines. When you first said you wanted to join the Space-Time Bureau, your dad asked me over the Space-Time Bureau. Your dad asked me over and over again to find you a comfortable, easy job, but after one look at your resume, I could see you were a good kid with plenty of ambition. How could I let that youthful passion go to waste? I thought long and hard before assigning you this role. He prodded Shui Meng on the chest. Make sure you do right by those thousands of lives. Shui Meng's eyes welled with tears of respect. So moved was he by this speech. Chief, thank you for placing your faith in me. Don't listen to what my dad said. I'll give it my all. I'll exceed your expectations. Chief Nangonglu eyed him approvingly. Do your best, he said, and away he swept, puffed up with pride. That day, new grad Shui Meng went home in a state of unrestrained joy. He sneakily went to Taobao Sea Mall and ordered a whole load of things. Specifically, broken DPS crispy fried chicken, Hanlin Pharmaceuticals Inc. Oh my God, it's like lit RPG. Grants a 10 times buff to spiritual energy for 2 hours. Cannot be used during combat. There's an item. The next item is called Back to Life. The 2 is an actual 2. And in parentheses, after the 2 is Ha. So it's really Back to Ha Life. I'm going to start requiring this from every author now. They have to AU parody their own work. This is what, if I don't get this now, I'm just going to be upset. It's from Yuheng Inc. Ineffective if used. Ineffective if used when already dead. Glow from Wubei Temple and Company lights up your head to illuminate the darkness for your teammates. Wactade from Taishanjun Pharmaceuticals ends berserker state. Organic free range. No! Organic free range copium from Tenlong Medical. Only to be used on enemies. That is now how I am referring to copium. It is no longer copium. That's unethical. It is organic free-range copium. Thank you. And just like that, new grad Shui Meng was ready for anything his new job could throw at him. That night, he dreamed he'd transmigrated into cultivation World War II. His heroic sacrifice stopped the black magic on the European front, and as he collapsed to a bolt of mysterious green light, he heard someone screaming. He heard someone screaming Avada Kedavra. However, the next morning, when Shui Meng marched into the office ready for war, he froze. This is my job? The executive assistant, a long-legged and buxom young lady, poured him a cup of tea. That's right, she said sweetly. Mr. Shui, this is your job. Shui Meng stared in disbelief at his desk, taking in the mountains of project proposals on his desk. His jaw slowly dropped. He picked up the topmost sheet and skimmed its contents. A line of bright red text jumped out at him. The name of the project was extremely long and convoluted. No normal person would understand it at first glance. Memo on the accountability and post-incident handling of the illegal use of Guiyue Fei Pig feed by mortals from Shandong and Linyi. Memo on what? Shui Meng's head was spinning, but he braced himself and read on. The Drug Control Administration, DCA, has recently received reports of cultivators selling expired Guiyue Fei Pig feed to civilian businessmen through illegal channels. More than 8,000 bags of expired pig feed have entered the market. Pigs from at least 30 farms have consumed this fodder. As of writing this, the number of impacted pigs has reached 400 and counting. Addressing this is a top priority. Shui Meng blinked. He flipped to the next page. Department of Cultivation World, DCW, Livestock Control, LC, moves to purchase all impacted pork and dispose of it. DCW Mortal Liaison, ML. Oh, wow, you can feel the seething hatred of bureaucracy coming from Meat Bun's choices. Seconds the motion to purchase all impacted work and dispose of it, and moves to include the amendment to arrest all cultivators involved in illegal trade and take them in for questioning. DCW Public Relations, PR, seconds both motions and proposes to instruct the Cultivation Broadcasting Network to disseminate information on the ongoing handling of the case. Chair, Panel for Executive Administration of the Case Outline Committee, PEACOC, Cultivation World Protection Bureau, CWPB. Shui Meng looked up in confusion, jabbing the white space on the paper. Why's this blank? It's waiting for your stamp of approval, she explained with a practiced smile. But I'm not the, he read from the paper, Chair of the Panel for Executive Administration of the Case Outline Committee for the Cultivation World Protection Bureau. But when he looked up and met the assistant's kindly eyes, he couldn't help doubting himself. Am I? The lady produced a name tag for him, seemingly out of thin air. In crisp block letters, it said, Chair, Panel for Executive Administration of the Case Outline Committee, CWPB, Shui Meng, right next to Shui Meng's least favorite ID photo. She pinned it on for him, beaming. Now you are. Congratulations, panel chair. He always has to be the peacock. Okay. He's being ruthlessly dragged, Meat Bun. She handed him 2 stamps, one with an O and one with an X. Use the O if you agree and the X if you don't. She smiled again. Please begin. Shui Meng gawped at her like a fish. There was much he wanted to say and many bad words he wanted to use, but he swallowed them all and said in a shaky voice, Do I have to be the one to make the decision? The lady grinned at him. Of course not. You can just use both. Shui Meng needed a fainting couch. Girl, same. And what happens if I do that? It'll be handed off to the chief's executive assistant. Shui Meng needed an even bigger fainting couch. Then what use am I? That's why I personally suggest you only use 1 stamp at a time, the lady said gently. Shui Meng could think of nothing to say. he's been given the Nepo baby job, dressed up as a very, very important, and then handed a it's literally too funny. That's a scene break. As the days passed, Shuemeng realized how clever Nangonglu had been with his words. This dumb shit job had him stamping X's and O's on different reports all day like a freaking pile driver, so it did indeed require outstanding patience. But the real reason he needed patience wasn't to make peace with this dull and tedious task. It was to keep himself from charging into Nangonglu's fucking office and snapping off the chief's shriveled dick. Technically, Chief Nangong hadn't lied to him. He really was deciding the fates of thousands. One could tell just from the report titles. Request for the construction of a broken DPS crispy fried chicken farm. Special exemption application for Pinocchio to cultivate human form. Special exemption application for the Little Mermaid to cultivate legs. Retired Gueya sect leader, esteemed member of the Old Guard, files for lifetime extension. I truly want to live for another 500 years. Butterfly Boned Beauty Feast Research Committee. Proposal to call for volunteers with butterfly boned ancestry to donate sperm in support of human demon genetic engineering efforts. I fucking... This was work that decided thousands of fates in a matter of minutes. Shuemeng picked up his X stamp with a scowl of fury and smacked it down on the Butterfly Bone Beauty Feast proposal. Righteousness filled him. He felt he'd saved countless little lives. Coldly, he appended his remarks. Nobody wants to be jizzed in a cup and put in the fridge. Denied. Oh, Shuemeng. He could admit he was simply venting his own frustration, but he hoped this kind of nonsense would annoy the chief enough to get him sent to the front lines. Maybe he'd even be assigned an exorcism mission in the mortal world. Unfortunately, the chief was not to be swayed. He had no intention of criticizing dear little committee chair Shui. Much later, at a party, Shuemeng overheard how his silliness had resulted in the chief's executive assistant, one Miss Yawong Shi, working until 3 a.m. for weeks. He could hear the chief's son, Nangong Se, stopping his feet and slamming the desk from several rooms away. If you make your daughter-in-law work overtime again, I'll quit tomorrow. That's one of the cruelest things she's ever done to me. Fuck this bitch. I hate her so much. My face hurts. Oh. Shuemeng shrank back in guilt. Once he recovered from his shock, he decided he had to take these reports seriously. A couple months passed this way. Just as he had finally gotten faster at stamping things and almost forgotten his earlier ambitions, Nangonglu was ousted for taking fey bribes, losing his cushy role. A new chief was swiftly instated. Chief Zheng Shi was cool-headed and efficient, capable of dealing with any task in moments. Even so, it took him over an hour to understand what Shuemeng's job actually was. Chief Zheng really couldn't be blamed for this. Nangonglu had packaged Shuemeng so prettily that it took Chief Zheng half an age to unwrap all the bows and ruffles, peeling off every piece of frippery only to realize they held nothing but hot air. In short, Shuemeng's job existed only on paper. Even Xiao Lezi, who slacked off washing dishes in the cafeteria, had a more meaningful role than he did. Chief Jiang wasn't the type to let a fake job like this continue. He made up his mind to dissolve this peacock chair position and give Shui Meng some useful work to do. For about a week, he studied Shui Meng and brainstormed. Finally, he made his decision, which brings this story back to the beginning. Mission report, Mr. Shui. This morning, I arrived at 8:20 sharp. Breakfast was takeout from Li Shifu's pan-fried steamed buns. They were pretty good. You should try them sometime if you get the chance. More importantly, the old guy running the stall is nice and gives great compliments. He calls those 60-year-old aunties little lass without blinking. Anyway, after I finished breakfast, I started rubber stamping. A crackle came through his headphones as Jiang Shi's audio feed cut in. The mechanical AI voice was replaced by Chief Jiang's even more soulless tones. Starting today, you no longer need to do rubber stamping. Take the rest of the day off and see me in my office first thing tomorrow. I have an important mission for you. Jiang Shi paused, then added flatly, bring me an order of Li Shifu's pan-fried steamed buns, extra vinegar. Shui Meng sputtered. It's the end of chapter 1 of The Only Possibility. We're on page 279 for chapter 2. Oh my god. My face is going to be sore tomorrow. I'm smiling too hard. Jesus. The next morning, Shui Meng arrived at Chief Jiang's office and listened to his whole spiel. Realization slowly dawned on him. This time, he'd been given the responsibility of being a pimp. Shui Meng was deeply displeased. Why am I either reviewing sperm donation applications or trying to increase the birth rate? Shouldn't you be delegating this to Tinder or Hinge? What the hell does it have to do with me? Chief Jiang had just put another whole steamed bun in his mouth. Though he had impeccable table manners, the breakneck speed at which he ate was terrifying to behold. For the last time, he said, you're not a pimp. You're contributing to the Cultivation Research Group's genetic engineering project. He swallowed the last steamed bun and dabbed delicately at his mouth with a handkerchief. Listen up, he said, pinning Shui Meng with a stare. The demon tribes have become more and more active over the past few hundred years. Another war between mortals and demons will likely break out within the next 2 centuries. We need enhanced military capabilities. Shui Meng rolled his eyes. You mean you need offspring from special phenotype butterfly bone beauty feasts? Jiang Shi didn't deny it. Yes, exactly. But there haven't been any special phenotype butterfly bone beauty feasts for a long time. The only lead we have is this guy named Mo Run. Right. You need that guy to have kids. Precisely. Shui Meng's lip curled in a sneer. But he's gay. Super gay, clarified Jiang Shi. Shui Meng gnashed his teeth. So you guys spent over a decade developing a dating sim called Destiny Pervertations? Destiny Permutations, corrected Jiang Shi. There was no expression on his face. Strictly speaking, it's not a dating sim. Who cares if it's pervertations or permutations? Shui Meng's voice rose. You want me to use it to run simulations until I find a way to correct Mo Run's sexual orientation and go down different routes to match him up with some busty long-legged girls to have babies with. Mr. Chief, Jiang Shi waggled a finger at him. They don't have to be busty or long-legged as long as they've got child-bearing hips. I can't take this. I can't handle this. I can't do this. This is going to be what does me in. I get through 10 volumes, and the first legit bonus story is going to be what takes me out. A shriek of concentrated rage echoed down the hallway outside the chief's office. That's just pimping with extra steps. Calm down. Destiny Permutations run simulations. It's for research purposes only. Jiang Shi took a sip of tea. The Bureau will collect data from your results and use it to create a finalized implementation plan. I refuse. Relax, kid, Chief Jiang said. Just pretend you're a beta player for a dating sim. I said I refuse. Do you need to go get your hearing checked by a specialist, Captain Jiang? Unfortunately, the captain was not swayed. Shui Meng had no choice but to accept this mission. Chief Jiang wasn't completely heartless. He very kindly gave Shui Meng a companion. A talking paper dragon. Assistant, counselor, guide, toy, in-game companion, court jester, whatever you want to call it. Jiang Shi picked up a Ru-ware teacup and said in languid tones, "It's yours now. It'll go into the simulation with you and help you come up with ideas." He waved a hand, ignoring the fit Shui Meng was throwing. "Get started, rookie." "What did you just call me?" But Chief Jiang paid him no mind. He gestured, and the new grad was ushered away by a few smiling young ladies, provided with the necessary equipment, and set up to begin the game. The world spun around him. Shui Meng found himself transported to the first scenario. He'd heard of youths being banned from video games, but never youths forced to play them. Yet what was he supposed to do? Jiang Shi said this was his first mission. The faster he got it over with, the better. Feeling claws digging into his shoulder, Shui Meng turned with a scowl to discover a little paper dragon crouched there. Its foreclaws were clutching a mission guide pamphlet. As it flipped through the pages, it exclaimed, "Oh!" "Shut up," snapped Shui Meng. "Are you a pigeon?" "How dare you? I'm the all-powerful, all-knowing dragon of the candle." The paper dragon smacked Shui Meng in the face with its tail. "That way." Shui Meng looked in the direction it pointed, a dark and suspicious little alley, its dank walls plastered with peeling advertisements. The ground was wet with a mix of unidentifiable fluids that resembled trash bag leakage combined with the contents of spit cups. Oh! Shui Meng spun on his heel and headed determinedly in the other direction. "Where are you going?" "Somewhere more hygienic." "You think I want to go over there?" The paper dragon flexed its little claws in anger and thwapped its mission pamphlet on Shui Meng's nose. "Use your eyes. It's telling you to walk 600 feet into the alley and find a noodle shop. That's where you'll see primary school-age Mo Run." Primary school-age Mo Run? Primary school? Shui Meng took the mission guide and skimmed it skeptically. The paper dragon was right. He handed it back with a scowl and strode into the darkness, holding his breath. Maybe he was suffering a fit of insanity. He walked through the alley just as the report asked him. After taking a left turn partway down, the pathway widened and became cleaner. "Yes, right there. The noodle shop called back again. Do you see it?" The dragon turned a few excited loops. It was so embarrassing, Shui Meng couldn't help being glad no one in the simulation world could see them. He soon found the student Mo Rung among the noodle shop's customers. He had to admit his target was, at the very least, readily identifiable. He wore a tattered backpack and shuffled around in sneakers with peeling soles. His greasy black hair flopped limply over his brow, looking like it'd gone several days without a wash. Though Shui Meng was still a distance away, he could tell Mo Run stank. The other customers gave him a wide berth. "A malnourished little mutt," commented Shui Meng, hand on his chin. Is there any other way for Mo Run's life to begin? He gets super hot once he grows up. The little dragon reminded him. So why are we looking for Mo Run while he's in primary school? Can't we look for the hot older version and shove some aphrodisiacs down his throat? Can we just grab a girl and lock them up in a room together? Wouldn't we be done? There are several moral issues involved there that we can't even disentangle from each other. We're already running late. The dragon side-eyed him. Kid, we're from the Bureau, not a brothel. Shui Meng stared right back. Also, the CWPB prohibits unlawful drugging. You have to make Mo Run willingly fall in love with a girl he'll marry and have kids with. Obviously, giving him a childhood sweetheart is the easiest route, said the dragon. It reread the mission overview in search of something to back it up. Typo. In search of something to back up its assertion. Unfortunately, it was successful. I told you I was the all-knowing, all-powerful dragon of the candle. Look, there's a list of recommended partners right here. Are you sure Jiangxi didn't give you a cheat code? Shui Meng disdainfully snatched up the papers again. He smoothed out the wrinkles left by the little dragon's claws and peered at the text beneath the grimy streetlights. Damn it all. It really did have 10 possible female targets listed for Mo Run. Candidate 1, Jane Doe. Meet cute strategy. Cast a spell to make the noodle shop's dog Max suddenly go rabid and bite Mo Run while he's eating noodles. A Volkswagen Santana will drive by right at the same time, and the car's driver will kindly offer to take Mo Run to the hospital for the shot. Jane Doe is the driver's daughter, 1 year younger than Mo Run, in 3rd grade. They'll get to know each other in the car and become childhood sweethearts. Shui Meng read the next name with a look that very clearly communicated, are you fucking kidding me? I can only imagine. Candidate 2, Jane Rowe. Meet cute strategy. Cast a spell to make the noodle shop's dog Max have a heart attack. Nope. Shui Meng, after spending far too much time rubber stamping proposals for pig and chicken farms, had a lot of sympathy for animals. His conscience instantly vetoed the idea, but curiosity made him read on. After Max dies, the noodle shop owner's daughter will come weep over its body. Her crying will draw the attention of her friend Jane Rowe, and Mo Run will meet both girls. Why can't we just work on the noodle shop owner's daughter? Mumbled Shui Meng. Who came up with these possibilities? The dragon smacked Shui Meng in the face with its tail, then jabbed it at the girl in question. She was 3 times Mo Run's size, her eyes small and squinted. She was crouched in front of the storefront in garish red and green pajamas, picking at her feet and chewing on garlic. I see, said Shui Meng after a pause. If they chose the noodle shop owner's daughter, Mo Run would probably tumble deeper into the abyss of homosexuality. The abyss of homosexuality is now how I will be referring to just all of it, everything, all the time. It's no longer homosexuality. It's the abyss of homosexuality. Similar to, organic free-range copium. Well, even if he hated his job, he was duty-bound to do his best. Comrade Shui considered himself a responsible Taoist and upstanding cultivator. Despite his grumbling, he carefully read through the dossier on the 10 prospective female partners. Whoever wrote the thing had to have been a jobless incel. That's a pretty good suggestion as to who wrote this. They had listed the heights, weights, and interests of each lady beside each 2-inch profile picture. Shui Meng, with the typical taste of a straight male, picked out a girl named Jane Doe. I'm sorry, all the rhyming with Doe is fucking killing me. Said the paper dragon. That name doesn't sound promising. What do you know? She's cute. I bet she'll grow up to be a stunner, Shui Meng said with confidence. There's no way Mo Run will go gay if we choose this one. Don't say I didn't warn you. Man and dragon skimmed down to the route walkthrough. To trigger Jane Doe's route, the candle dragon read aloud, wait for Mo Run to finish his noodles and walk 2 blocks away before summoning rain. Mo Run will run beneath the nearest eaves using his backpack as an umbrella. He'll hear the sound of a little girl crying from the next street over. This sounds like a horror story. Dumbass, it's obviously a damsel in distress, scoffed the dragon. Look, it says Mo Run's going to go looking for the source of the crying. He'll find our little Jane Doe being bullied by a group of girls who call themselves the Big Bosom Besties, because of course. Our little Mo Run is going to charge in and fight for her in the name of justice. That's how they'll meet. There was no time to waste. The dragon summoned a heavy rainstorm while Shui Meng went off to make sure little Miss Jane Toe was surrounded by the schoolyard gang. Everything went just as planned until the girl who... This is such a specific reference. Everything went just as planned until the girl who breasted the most boobily picked up a brick and slammed it down on Mo Run's head. That is so specific. Ow. My face still fucking hurts. Whew. The little knight in shining armor collapsed in the rain. Face first. Shui Meng and the candle dragon both blinked. Isn't he supposed to be a special phenotype butterfly bone beauty feast? Blurted Shui Meng. They demolished him. Are you kidding me? Maybe he's too young, the dragon suggested. Lightning crackled overhead as Mo Run lay in the puddle with blood gushing from his head. The ringleader exclaimed, "Run, y'all, he's dead!" She and her lackeys scattered like birds sprinting into the rain. But they were quickly outdone by little Miss Jane Toe, who went white as a ghost when she saw Mo Run sprawled out in the rain. With a shrill scream, she abandoned her savior and ran off. The speed of her disappearance left Shui Meng flabbergasted. How had the Big Bosom Gang caught her in the first place? A frightened rabbit couldn't even run that fast. Shui Meng and the dragon crouched beside the unconscious Mo Run and exchanged a look. What do we do now? Wake him up? We can't directly affect the people in the simulation. Shui Meng went pale. So he's going to bleed out on the pavement? Yeah. It's just a simulation after all, not a transmigration. It doesn't matter if he dies, said the dragon coarsely. Press X to respawn. GG. He wasn't wrong, but that didn't make Shui Meng any less enraged. He picked up the mission booklet, fury radiating from every eyelash and every blue blood vessel. Is this book lying? We followed the walkthrough perfectly, so how did we fail? The dragon hesitated, then stretched a claw out and tapped the last line on the back cover. Disclaimer. The instructions provided in this book are from big fraud fortune-telling and may not be 100% accurate. Use at your own risk. After a moment of stunned silence, Shui Meng turned his face up to the sky and shrieked, "Jiang Shi, you motherfucker!" Unfortunately, despite the advanced technology behind Destiny permutations, it was not programmed for any kind of motherfucking, let alone by Jiang Shi. Destiny permutations was a detailed simulation of the real world. They had to collect more data on unique phenomena before they could continue. Thus, their first priority was to prevent Mo Run from bleeding out from his little noggin. The best thing to do would be to draw some good Samaritan's attention to the shadowy alley where a little boy was in need of 911's tender, loving care. They knocked over garbage cans to block the way of passersby and cast spells so stray cats would bite the hems of their pants, but all they got was people cursing out the garbage cans and crazy cats. It was already late in the afternoon. Everyone was rushing home. Nobody would look down an out-of-the-way alley like this one. Wanning, wait here. A mother and son turned the corner. The woman was young and beautiful, wearing a camel cashmere coat. Her son, whose head came only up to her hip, was holding a white umbrella with a big cat printed on it. The rain had dyed his long, inky lashes even darker. The wind rose, and the child tucked his pale, delicate face deeper into his cashmere scarf until only his bright eyes were visible. Mommy's going to cross the street to deal with some work things. Stay here and don't move. I'll be back in a minute. The boy nodded obediently. The beanie on his head slid down a little, covering one eye. Yes, this little guy. Make another stray cat bite his pants, cried the little dragon. Shui Meng didn't need to be told twice. Things went much more smoothly this time. The little boy immediately noticed the dark alley and followed the cat over. He stared in shock at Mo Run, prone on the ground. Hey, are you okay? Watching invisibly over his shoulder, Shui Meng and the little dragon let out long sighs of relief. Hallelujah. basically how they met the first time. So where did I? No. What? I flipped pages. Hang on. Oh, no, I didn't. Oh. Hallelujah. Goodness still exists in the world. They mopped at the sweat on their faces. Shuimeng watched the boy run across the street in search of his mother, then dug out that accursed guide once more. Well, now I'm dying to know how the Jane Tove route turns out. As if in answer, the pages of the booklet flipped of their own accord and came to a stop on a later page. The booklet glowed gold, their surroundings warped and changed. By the time they could see again, they'd traveled 20 years into the future. What are you doing? Wailed the candle dragon. I wasn't serious, Shuimeng was equally confused. I didn't think the book would send us 20 years into the future to see the results. The candle dragon stared at him. But, said Shuimeng slowly, that means our actions did impact Morun's future. Otherwise, the guide wouldn't have brought us here. The dragon huffed and puffed in impotent fury, then sighed. You're right. We should have set him on Jane Tove's route. Let's go see what happened. They walked until they found themselves on the same street 20 years later. It looked much the same, save that the nearby buildings had grown shabbier. Every storefront had the words "for demolition" scrawled over it in huge red letters. There was hardly another soul anywhere on the street. Things seemed rather bleak. The whole block's getting bulldozed next month. Shuimeng heard a low voice coming from a corner to his left. Even without seeing him, he could tell the speaker was smiling. I'll almost miss it. I feel the same. It was another male voice, cool and crisp. After all, it was our old haunt. More importantly, this is where we first met, isn't it? The cooler voice laughed too. You were lying in the mud when I met you. Aren't you embarrassed to bring it up? The first man's reply was too low to make out, and then all they could hear from the dark corner were the wet sounds of kissing and the rough breathing of two men. It's more or less what I thought Shuimeng was going to lay witness to. The first man's reply was too... Shuimeng and the little candle dragon stared in slack-jawed astonishment at the two tall and handsome men making out, their hands all over each other. Although 20 years had passed, they recognized the pair instantly. So, the dragon began. Morun still became... Shuimeng continued with difficulty. Goddamn gay, man and dragon finished in unison. They turned to look at each other, almost on the verge of tears, and wailed, And we're the ones who did it? The dragon hissed, It's your fault. Who told you to make the stray cat lead this Wanning kid over? Shuimeng hadn't expected the dragon to push the blame onto him. My fault, he raged. Who was it that made such a big storm Morun couldn't see clearly while he was fighting? You're the reason he got a brick to the head. It's your fault. You're the one who picked the Jane Tove route. Great decision that was. No, it's your fault. You didn't show me the disclaimer on the back of the book until it was too late. Selfish, shitty little dragon. Are you blind? It's your fault. It's your fault. You're so annoying. Your fault. While the two employees of the CWPB were yelling at each other, Morun and Chu Wanning stepped out of the shadows, hand in hand. Art. Now the artists are having too much fun? They strolled down the old street that would soon be demolished, reminiscing about the 20 years they'd spent together. Watching their retreating silhouettes, Shuimeng pinned the little dragon's head down and howled hysterically. It's all your fault! Regardless, the mission needed to go on. If one strategy failed, they'd have to try another. There were so many girls in the world. there was sure to be one they could introduce to Mo Run so he would get married and have kids. Fight on, they told themselves. There's no way a dating sim would only have one ending. Anger and ambition burning in their hearts, these two employees selected a new route in destiny permutations. We're not in that gross alley anymore, said Shuemeng as he regained his balance and looked around. I think we've been set to a school gymnasium. That's the end of the chapter. Where? Hang on. I have to do page math because I've been all thrown off having the tech difficulties today. Let me do some page math. Hang on. 44. Okay. Let me check. Oh, wow. No. Okay. Yeah, this is this the rest of the Okay. It is. Wow. The rest of the volume is literally the only possibility. My face is going to break by the end of this. I'm already hurting. And we only did some of it today. We only did the first 2 chapters today. This will be where we end for today. I'm pretty sure this was supposed to be where we were stopping anyway. So we're on page 293 for chapter 3 of The Only Possibility. Yeah, see, Henry's calling it. Henry says that Shuemeng, I'm beside myself, Shuemeng is going to walk in on them fucking next. Oh, that's totally, yeah. I'm shocked that didn't happen just at the end of this chapter. That's right, thank you. There's color art in here that I missed at the end of the last stream that I can look at now. So I will do that before we go. So hang on. Right, no, that's the cover, as gorgeous as it is. What? You have got to be kidding me. Can I angle anything? No. Okay. Hello. Look at that. How? What? That's lovely and emotional. Thank you so much. Oh my God. We went a lot of places today. Holy shit. It's Thursday. We'll be back on Tuesday to finish this volume, I believe. We're on page 293, and there's we'll be finishing this volume on Tuesday. And then when we do, we will not have a stream for that Thursday because volume 11 won't be out yet. And then the week after that we will also not be having streams because that's the week that volume 11 comes out, and I want to make sure that there's enough time for the volume to actually land on my doorstep. And with the way that the date plays out, it would just I'm not going to risk it. So I'll let you guys know the exact date that we're picking back up on Tuesday by the end of that stream. But that's the plan. There will only be like technically a week and a half break between volumes 10 and 11. Alrighty. Okay. I'm going to go straighten out my face. Once again, thank you for being here. Give the stream a like if you either laughed or were so happy to see Morun and Chuaning like fucking in a really great and hot way. You know, sexy joy or sheer utter absurdity. Pick your reason to like the stream and follow Gaywatch for more. I'll see you guys on Tuesday, you have a lovely weekend. And most importantly, take care of yourselves.